We're on episode number 69 of the 5 Tech Things You Should Know About for December 16th, 2010. I'm your host, Jeffrey Powers, and it's brought to you, once again, by Mosey.com. Hey everybody, welcome to the 5 Tech Things You Should Know About for this week. It's for those of you who want to be in the know, but don't want too much tech information overload. Let's get you into your 5 tech things you should know about. Yahoo! Yahoo's stolen. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is not pretty. Earlier in the week, Yahoo cut up a bunch of jobs, about 600 jobs to be exact, and now Yahoo is starting to cut out all their, what they're calling the fat. What I'm calling business. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, I understand you gotta let people go so you can revitalize your company and stuff like that. But Carol Bartz, you don't let people go and then just decide, well, we're gonna cut out Alta Vista, we're gonna cut out Buzz, we're gonna cut out all the web, we're gonna cut out Delicious. Now, as you know, if I do my weekly podcast, when I do my weekly podcast, I put all my show notes up on delicious.com for everybody to see. So now I got to figure out a new way to do that because Delicious won't be around anymore. The real thing that sucks about this is just the fact that there's a whole bunch of useful stuff here. There's some not useful stuff like my blog log. I don't use it, but people do use it. All the web is a search engine that's pretty much redundant in some areas. You have Yahoo Buzz, which was supposed to compete with Dig. So I understand some of the stuff, but there's still technology that they can turn around and they can sell to somebody else. Sell it to somebody else so it can continue on, so I can still use Delicious, so I can still use Buzz, so I can still use my blog log if I use it. For you to hoard it and just close it down, just like you did GeoCities, doesn't do anything. Sell it so you can keep those 600 jobs intact and restaff them into new areas. It only makes sense on that aspect. I said this a couple of years ago. I'm going to say it now, although it's going to be a couple of years out from my original prediction. You're going to go to a garage sale. You're going to pick up something and go, Yahoo, I remember when they were around. Same thing's going to happen here. Eventually, Yahoo's going to whittle down, so they're just email business accounts. And then where are they going to go from there? Nowhere. And they're going to end up having to sell that. And then there's going to be no more Yahoo. Something needs to change. Maybe Carol Bartz isn't the right answer in this situation. I don't know. I don't really am part of business things like that. But I just don't see Yahoo as sticking around and being a powerhouse if they're selling everything and getting rid of employees. All right, you probably heard about this. Gawker Media. It has Gawker.com. It has io9.com. It has Gizmodo. It has a whole bunch of other properties, website properties. They work as a whole, so when you go up on one website, you're technically going up on all the websites, and your data is in there. Well, somebody got into the database, and they deciphered all the easy passwords. So basically what's called a dictionary burn, where they go through the dictionary, and if your password is a dictionary word, it was exposed. Now, if you had a more protected password, and that is a password that has 2 or more words, one of them is not really in the dictionary, and they're smushed together, they got a few letters in it, they got a few symbols in it, you're probably okay. There shouldn't be any issue here. But you still want to change your password. In fact, if you haven't changed your password in the last 5-10 years, it's time to change some passwords. I think we need to set up a password change day where it's just everybody talks about it, puts it on Facebook, and then that day everybody just changes their password. They get help getting their passwords changed, and just take care of it so people don't get into this rut and use the same password or QWERTY or 12345. If you use any of those passwords, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to change your password. Here's what you do. 2 words. Little dog. Good combination here. Put them together. Put a couple numbers in them. Little 1, dog 2. That's a good one. And then you can put in little things like exclamation points, ampersands. Try not to replace an I with an exclamation point. Try not to replace an A with an ampersand. Things like that. Put the ampersand somewhere else. Put the number 3. Don't replace the E's with 3's. Replace the A's with 3's. And you'll have a secure password and an easy one to remember. All right, it's that time of year where we go through the best, the worst, the everything else of lists of 2010. Gearlog has a really great list of the worst gadgets and items of 2010. It includes things like this thing right here, which is Microsoft Kin, which they basically were around for 3 weeks, and then Microsoft just recently said that you have until the next couple months, and then they're just going to kill all the Kin servers. You'll still be able to use the phone, but you won't be able to use it like a smartphone. You won't be able to store the data into the cloud like any other smartphone, which is really sad. Things like Google Buzz, and then there was another thing called this TV hat where you put the iPhone into the TV hat. They say that's the worst product of the year, but you know, I bought one and I use it all the time. I don't understand what the problem is with this. I watch all my movies from here. Maybe it's the fact that technically you can use the iPad to do the same thing without having this big old hat on. I don't know. But then again, I could go for Halloween as one character from Star Wars. Maybe. I don't know. What was your worst gadget? What did you think was the worst gadget out there or item out there? I don't know. TV hat was pretty cool. So. The 5 tech things you should know about, as well as the tech podcast CES live coverage, is sponsored by Luxor Hotels and Casinos. Go over to geekazine.com and click on the link for Luxor, and that'll get you to the Luxor website, which you'll get some great deals starting at $40 a night. For the hotel, just look for the Pyramid in Vegas. It happens to the best of us. How ironic, ladies and gentlemen. Well, you know, I found out yesterday the hard way that even as an IT administrator, somebody for the last 15, 20 years that's never had a virus on his computer can contract a virus on the computer pretty easily. Yeah, I did have one, and actually a pretty simple virus that you have to go in and dig in the registry. Ultimately, what happens is big spyware pop-up keeps coming up. You get a background that says your computer is infected. It's a big malware in Vista and Windows 7. There's fixes for it, and it can get actually fairly straightforward if you know exactly what you're doing, how to fix it, and get it fixed and move on from there. But yeah, the laptop was infected last night. Took me about 5 hours to get everything back up and running, remove the virus, and go from there. If you haven't done your updates in Windows 7, do so now. If you haven't updated your virus software, do so now. And if you have a Mac and you're laughing at me, you know, someday it's going to happen to you. And you might say, well, no, there's a far chance in God's green earth that that's going to happen. Well, you know, viruses are on computers all the time, whether it's a PC, a Mac, or a Linux box. Viruses can sit dormant for years. We don't know about a virus until it gets triggered by another program, or maybe an upgrade to software will trigger that virus to start, or just time decides to trigger that virus. Then we find the virus, then we fix the virus. It's a small little problem in Windows that we have to deal with. Someday you're going to find that'll happen in another system, and you'll have to deal with that too. Even the iPhone's not free from strange things. Remember the Rickroll thing from a couple years ago? Yeah, things like that we're talking about. Just make sure, no matter what you have for an operating system, update it and make sure that any type of antivirus is put on and installed and updated properly. And yes, there is Mac antivirus out there. Speaking of viruses, you want to back up your stuff now, so if you do get a virus, you don't have to worry about all those documents, those pictures, your life getting destroyed by some joke of somebody else's. Remember the code GEEK. GEEK gets you 15% off, but you only have until the end of the year to use that and get that 15% off. Go over to Mozy.com, sign up for it. One computer, $4.95 a month. You can back up your pictures, your documents, back up your life off-site. Save yourself from fire theft, or even if you get a brand new computer, you can just bring it all back down using Mozy's service. Use the code GEEK. That gets you 15% off that already low price. So back up now, back up often, back up off-site with Mozy.com. You know, when I started putting together the show for episode number 69, I didn't think that the irony would be in play here, but I guess it is. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm not going to explain it because this is a G show. But ladies and gentlemen, since the Kinect has come out by Microsoft with the Xbox 360, people have been doing some interesting things. Just like when the Wii came out, they found some different things that they can use with the controller. Like, for instance, they made a whiteboard using the Wii system controller, which was pretty cool. And they're doing the same thing with Kinect. You know, in Iron Man, when Robert Downey Jr. is making 3D models and he's just turning them around, lifting them up, expanding them, contracting them, so on and so forth, to get a good idea, Kinect can be done the same way. You put two Kinects together, one in an axis, one in a y-axis, and one in an x-axis, then you can actually control a 3D model on a screen. No holographic images just yet. They're working on that. But you'll be able to move things around. And developers are finding new ways to use the Kinect to do a lot of different things. Not only just game-wise, but also in business-wise. But also, we got some great things in games, and we might just have a sex game come out. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, there's a game called THRIXXX, I guess ThryXXX or ThrillXXX, something like that. It will probably be debuted at the CES Consumer Electronics Show, because at the same time, the Adult Video Awards happens, which technically they were pretty much one and the same, and then they split off after a while. So you would actually go to a separate area where you could find out all the new technology in CES, the adult areas. And they have like robots and stuff like that, and they're going to be showing off some new technology, which is pretty cool. But the one thing that they're going to be showing off is this thing. It's a game for the Kinect that does certain acts, pleasurable acts. I don't know what it's going to entail. I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know if it's a one-player or a two-player game. But I do know that it's probably going to come out, and we're going to see it in a couple weeks. Now, like I said, this is a G show, so we'll leave it at that. Let your mind race. And a little bit of irony in this whole episode number 69. But, you know, this is kind of cool. And I love it when people think outside the box to do things. My question is, will you get a copy of the Kama Sutra with your Kinect and your ThryX game? Possible. Now I want an Xbox 360 for Christmas. Anyway, that's the 5 tech things you should know about. My name is Jeffrey Powers, www.geekazine.com. Have any questions or comments, please email me at geekazine@gmail.com. Call the number at 608-205-4378. A lot of people have been calling lately and talking about wanting to give me a credit card number over the phone. Please don't do that. Please don't call anybody and say you have a credit card to give them. Please don't. Anyway, for 5 tech things you should know about, my name is Jeffrey Powers. Until next week, you guys take care. Does anybody have a Kinect out there?